What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about what we can expect from Hogwarts Legacy in 2021. So, I'm surprised I actually didn't make this video already, but I've been doing a series where I've been talking about games that we do know, games that we don't know, games that could happen, games that couldn't happen, all these different things going into 2021, okay? And I actually kind of forgot, again, that I didn't do one on Hogwarts Legacy, but I think this is a good time to kind of recap what we went through in 2020 and talk about maybe the stages. I know I've talked a little bit about, where I can kind of see certain things happening regarding this game, but we can kind of talk about what exactly we will see. How is things going to kind of play out in 2021, okay? If you guys like this, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on. If you guys want to follow my Twitter account, Podcast Now 15, link for that is in the description below, or, of course, again, you can obviously just look me up on Twitter. All right, so this year, I keep saying that, right, because we're still in the early January. I'm still going to accidentally call this year 2020, all that kind of good stuff. But the year that we just had in 2020 was an incredible year for Hogwarts Legacy. I wouldn't say the world had the greatest year. It was kind of an off year overall, right? But in terms of Hogwarts Legacy, it was pretty darn good. And, I think people are, I do think people are kind of tired of what we saw, of just like it being the only thing, right? I've covered a lot of games in the past leading into their announcements, like before they quote unquote like officially existed, and then when they get announced and we talk about them, I've seen people and this is a personal thing, but I'll say it really quickly just to kind of talk about expectations. I've done that before, and what I have gotten in the past and what I'm now getting with Hogwarts Legacy is people saying, like, dude, you're milking it, or dude, like, you're just talking about the same thing, or, like, the trailer's out, but, like, you have to wait for more information. And how I've always taken it is, like, look, we've talked about this for countless videos, and more than just me, right? Other channels have talked about these things for countless videos before the game existed. And then when the game does exist, now we can talk about it, right? Now we can really, really analyze the trailer. Now we can talk about all these different things. We can talk about things that we had talked about in the past with new light, because now everybody knows about it, and now maybe we know something different about it. So it's interesting that that's kind of where we're at with Hogwarts Legacy. I know we've reached a certain point when people tell me that I'm milking videos, which I don't agree with. I mean, that's just, you guys can think that, or certain people can think that. I obviously don't, right? But I mean, that's the kind of the point we're at. We're at the point where people want new information, and I don't blame them. I mean, in all reality, it's been since September. It's been several months now since we've gotten anything on this game. They re-emerged a little bit on Twitter randomly in November. Just November, they were like, hey, we should send out weekly tweets, right? So it's been an up and down year. I would say mainly really good, okay? It's more of the the anticipation, like we all cannot wait for, right? So we're all kind of demanding stuff, which is understandable, especially for a game like this. So what to expect of this game in 2021? Well, I mean, in all reality, like, this is our year. This is it, which is very exciting. Now, I do want to talk about maybe the most negative thing that could happen, and the thing that maybe scares people. I want to talk about that first, and then we can kind of backpedal, is a delay. Okay, now the game said 2021, okay? I had always said fall. I think fall makes the most sense. You look at other games Warner Bros. Is publishing. While they're publishing like Lego Star Wars, or even doing Back for Blood, which is in June, by the way, I don't know if that makes the biggest difference in the world, and I think people kind of have put this together. The biggest thing that stands in its way, and not like in a negative way, but the biggest thing that you do have to pay attention to is Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights and Hogwarts Legacy are not coming out like back to back. They're not going to be in the same month. I would argue they'd be separated by a few months. So if Gotham Knights comes out in August, Hogwarts Legacy, I think, is safe for the rest of the year. If Gotham Knights comes out in November, Hogwarts Legacy is probably in some trouble. Obviously, they're also independent of each other. They're different teams working on it. Avalanche, right, the makers of this game, of Hogwarts Legacy, there could be delays. I mean, it's just something. 2020 was a rough year, and everybody got pushed back. I mean, Hogwarts Legacy, it's possible that game could have came out very early in 2021, but because of pushbacks basically throughout 2020, then maybe now it's coming out later. I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't think but with what's happened around the world, what's happened with all of these games, I don't think anybody should be surprised if the game gets delayed. I'm not saying you can't be disappointed. I'm not saying you can't be mad. You have every right to do those things, and I fully expect people to, right? Obviously, no threats, no crossing of certain lines is obviously not something that I condone, but I understand people would be disappointed, upset. Okay, I think that's fair. I think for people that have been waiting for this game even before the game existed, it is fair. But even with that being said, I do stand by what I've told you guys in the past, where I do think 2021 could be a very fast and furious thing leading up into a release. I really do think within a short period of time. Now, when is that time? That's tough. That's really tough depending on when they, I guess depending on how they want to do it. It is tough to figure out, but for a game like this, for a game like Gotham Knights even, these are games that I think are going to get just, and by the way, these are all opinions, these are all assumptions, or these are all, I guess, speculation based off of me. I do think it makes a lot of sense to put out a lot of information on this game. And we've talked about it before. It's been a while since I've said certain things like this. You know, I think each game like in general, not even just games made by Warner Bros. Or whatever, but each game has its own circumstance where it's like, how much trust do you have in the developers? And it's kind of something that they're somewhat aware of, or the publisher is aware of, where some games may not actually get that much, I guess press would be the word, right? Like leading into it, where it's like, okay, we don't need to show you 1,000 things about the game. You trust us. We know we're going to do a good job, and that's it, right? And so they're secretive. Whereas other games, maybe they kind of have to show a good amount of information, right? Because they just have to. Now, it's not always the case. You look at a game like Miles Morales, that's a game we probably all trusted would be pretty good, and it was, but they promoted that thing for like 2.5, 3 months straight. Like every single day, they had something on that game, okay? So, again, it depends on the situation. I don't see how you don't promote the living heck out of Hogwarts Legacy. You know what I mean? We talked about it before. There are people, I think, there's actually a group of people, like different groups, but there's a group of people that I think don't even play video games. So they wouldn't be considered gamers, or, whatever you want to call them, or, they don't go on YouTube. They buy maybe a game a year. Maybe they don't buy any games. They will buy Hogwarts Legacy because it's a Harry Potter game, okay? You have those people. You also, by the way, have people that I think aren't even fans of the Wizarding World, aren't even fans of Harry Potter, that are also going to get the game because just the game really excites them. And it's great. It's good to see a mix of all these different people. But that's what I would expect. I would expect this year information to come very quickly in a group of time, in a small group of time. Now, when is that? I mean, I've talked about a state of play before, right? That I think PlayStation should and probably will have like a series of state of plays throughout 2021. I think that makes a lot of sense. The thing is, I don't think Hogwarts Legacy and Gotham Knights are competing. I think you could show stuff off on both of them, but I do think Gotham Knights takes a slight priority. I'm not saying that we're not going to get anything from Hogwarts until Gotham Knights is out, but I think it's going to be maybe somewhat limited. But I mean, we're kind of all on the same page, right? Like, we need more stuff about the actual game. Like, I want gameplay. I want to see like an extended demo. It doesn't need to be super long, but I've always said, give me 5-10 minutes. Give me a 5 to 10 minute developer diary where it's the community manager interviewing people that are working on the game and they're playing through a quest. That's it. 10 minutes long. And like I said, like, you can see so much in that, because you're gonna, again, ideally there's like an interview going on, right? So maybe they can be dropping, information that we never knew before, and also you're seeing them do something very specific, but you're also seeing everything else in the game, right? Maybe you're going through different areas, so now you're seeing what areas you can explore. Maybe you're using magic. Now we know maybe how that works. Maybe you're interacting with people. Maybe now we know how dialogue works. There's a lot they can show us in that time. And while I do think this is a game that they are going to promote like more than they probably, and that's kind of like, that's a spoiler there, I do think they're going to promote this game probably more than they should. While I don't have like immediate 100% confidence in this game, okay, I mean, I think it's fair to kind of approach games in general with a little bit of skepticism, right? Where it's like, all right, well, I trust you, but I'm not gonna go in saying like it's gonna be the greatest game of all time, or like I know you guys are gonna get like a 10 out of 10 score, right? It's a game where it's like, all right, well, you do have to show me some stuff, but at the same time, I don't want them dropping hours and hours and hours of stuff. I don't want them giving away too much. You know what I mean? I mean, there are lines that I think developers and publishers have crossed before, where especially, and it is personal. It goes based off of just personal interest. Like for me, when a game that I'm really interested, like super invested in, I really don't need to see all that much. Now, I kind of do, mainly for like the channel. It's kind of just become a part that I'm not actually all that fond of, but like a game like Uncharted 4, like I could have done without anything. In fact, I have a friend of mine, a close friend, who didn't see anything. I think he saw one trailer on Uncharted 4 and he just jumped in, and that was it. And he was blown away by the game. I kind of envy that, right? I kind of want that, but just because of the internet thing. But it's the same thing, honestly, for Hogwarts Legacy. Like, I do want to see different mechanics of this game, but after a certain point, I'm not going to peace out because I just can't, but I would want to. You know what I mean? I don't need to see all that much of this game, but E3, definitely a possibility. Do they wait till after? And by the way, if there's like a replacement E3, like an online thing, I think that's possible. I think you got to get the engines revved up by at least the summer. I pray literally every night on my bed, right? I pray that we're not going to have to wait till June to get more information on Hogwarts, and I don't think we will. I really don't think we will. I just think that the super amount of pushing the game at us, that probably isn't going to start until at least the summer. Again, I think we'll get stuff before then, but I think it'll just be something like a random thing here, random thing there. Maybe like a developer diary, maybe like gameplay, but then take some months off after that and then really kick into high gear, maybe like 2 or 3 months before the game comes out, okay? This should be our year. This hopefully will be our year. I cannot wait. I truly cannot wait. I obviously want to play this game in 2021. At the same time, I will be disappointed if it's delayed, but I'm almost going into this year kind of expecting it, just so it won't be like the biggest disappointment ever, right? Because, again, you know, we don't want this game to come out and be complete garbage. I'm not saying that it would be, but, you know, the game needs to work. Everything needs to be good. Take as much time as you want, right? Hopefully, that's kind of the opinion of the majority here. So, let me know, guys, in the comments below, what do you think? What are you expecting from this game in 2021 from, you know, marketing, from, like, them pushing stuff at us? When do you think the game is releasing? All that stuff. Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on so you know all these videos go up. And one more time, if you guys want to follow my Twitter handle, I'd love to have you guys over on my Twitter. Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter handle. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.